Galighticus.com, and welcome to Thursday's video. I want to talk about a very touchy, controversial subject, and it's about dealing with your demons. I went to an art exhibit last night for a very good friend of mine. And as I was sitting there talking to a photographer, I was asked by my friend to speak to her friend who was having some difficulties in her life. So when I finished my conversation, she brought her friend over, sat down. Now, I am obviously withholding the name of this person as not to implicate, and it's for a very good reason. So this woman sits down and we're talking, and she's explaining to me that she's having a lot of issues in her life, a lot of bad luck, and she feels like she is being controlled by external forces. As she's giving me this information, I get a very, very clear picture about what is happening. Then she tells me that when she was 6 years old, her babysitter brought her to the graveyard with a red candle, said something over her, and her life has never been the same. And I immediately knew what had happened. What I explained to her is that she has become a host for humans that are homeless. In the graveyard, there was a ritual done where the agreement was made to have her body be a host for discarnate souls who used to have a body. And they've been occupying the body of this woman. She knows that to be true. And these discarnate souls that are living in her body and have been for over 20 years are wreaking havoc on the life of this innocent little girl who had nothing to do with the agreement that was made that made her a host. So I'm sure that she was led to me so that I can identify exactly what has happened. And I told her, now that you know this, you have an obligation to do something about it and take back the sovereignty of your physicality. If you don't do so, you are complicit in all of the negative things that these demons and these discarnate souls are making you do. So she says, well, what can I do? And I told her, gave her some things that she could do. And then she asked me to pray for her. And I said, I don't know if you really want me to do that, because when I say this prayer for you, there's going to be a very visceral reaction by the entities that are occupying your body. I also can tell you that you also have jinns, which are a lower form of demons that are inside of your body. I can sense their presence. So she says, Gano, I really, really need your help. And my friend also asked me to give her the assistance, which really would be a minor exorcism. So what I did was I asked her boyfriend to hold her body, because I knew that the presence of the entities were not going to like the mantra and the prayer that I was about to give and project from my body to hers. Lo and behold, she sat there, and her boyfriend, which was pretty formidable size, had a very difficult time controlling her body, because I said the prayer and the mantra and I looked into her eyes. And so the jinns began to speak to me from the host, and they said, oh, you think it's going to work? And I said, yes, you are not allowed to be in this body any longer, and you must now leave. They started laughing and they said, stop, stop. And as I went on with the prayer, unbroken, the demons and the jinns and the entities started to come out of the body, but they wanted to hold on. And she basically broke away from her boyfriend's hold, which was very interesting to see. She told me to shut up and that she wanted to assault me physically, but she knew that she couldn't because there's a great barrier of protection. But she did articulate her chagrin. The demons did anyway. She ran into the bathroom, locked the door, and she proceeded to vomit for 20 minutes as she cursed me out. So that was the proof that not only did she have discarnate souls in her body, but she also had jinns and demons present, and they cannot occupy the body when there is a field of divinity being projected to the host of the body. The reason that I share that with you is because there are many people walking around that are afflicted, that are not dealing with the presence of negativity in their body, the presence of jinn, the presence of demonic forces, and the presence of darkness. And a lot of time, people allow this presence to fester within their conscientiousness, and that makes you compliant and agreeing with what happens as a result. So the bad fortune and the bad luck and the disagreements and the spirit of lack, all of the things that come with this sustained chaos will affect you in the worst way possible. I'd also like to say that if this woman does not do something very soon, she is going to take herself to the spirit world in an unconscious way. And that's in essence what the presence of the host of these beings have going on. So we have a responsibility that when we are in the body to deal with anything that is afflicting us, any sickness that is in the body. But paradoxically, unfortunately, unconscious earthlings like the presence of these disturbances. There are people that say they're grinding, they're still in the struggle. They hold on to the disempowering, disenfranchising events of their life, and they identify with it. I also gave a consultation to a woman over the phone yesterday who admitted to me that when she's about to go to sleep, she gets very afraid and she turns on the lights in the TV because she can't stand the thought of being outside of her body, and she's very afraid of the spirit world. What I explained to her is that that's where the physical world emanates from. We are living in a reality that is an offspring of the world that is unseen. So for you to have a fright or a fear of that world, that means that you have identified falsely with the uniform that is your body. And there needs to be work done within your awareness so that you identify more with the unseen part of you than the seen part of you, because the seen part of you is the illusion. And there is no power in the illusion. There is only power in the unseen, which is the occult. And that's where your faith comes in. Many people have a problem with their faith, and faith is the belief of things unseen. We are in a third dimensional reality that we identify with strictly. So therefore, we work to honor the things of this world, honor the things, and perpetuate the illusion of what we're living in. When people begin to honor the spirit of who they are, the divine part of who they are, they literally put more power in the physical container known to be the body. That's when the fun begins, because you are allowing the presence of the divine, which really means that you are allowing more of the Creator into your body, and the spirit of perfection within your body and into your life your life goes way more smoother than without the presence of the divine in your body. And it is always up to you. It is always your choice. The Creator is so generous that the Creator has given us a choice to drown within the sorrows of the illusion of hard times, or we can flourish within the abundance of the power that we have all around us. The choice is up to you. Now, I have another student who wanted to host the love workshop that I created at her home. And there was something that happened where she took a step, her foot went this way, but her body went that way. And as a result, this event catapulted her into a deep, dark funk. And she was really in a bad place, and she didn't want to deal with the outside world. And it happens when you get depressed about things, and it's a natural feeling of not to want to deal or interface with anybody. We just shut down. It's not always a good thing, but everyone has their own way of dealing with things. So she didn't call me, and time was getting closer and closer to the date that we were supposed to do, or she was supposed to host the love workshop, and I was about to quarterback it. And recently, she just reached out to tell me that she was very sorry for not keeping in contact. As a result, not hearing from her, I just thought it would be wise that I take the event off of the calendar. Obviously, we're not going to do the workshop, and that's fine. So she called to apologize, and then she told me the day that we were going to do the workshop at her place, her septic tank backed up. The septic tank has lots of sewage, and it backed up into her home. What I explained to her was that the universe is giving you a very, very clear message that you still have not dealt with your ish. Literally. This is not a coincidence. It also happened on the same day that we were going to do the workshop, which highlights another point, which was she would have been in a much better place if she was working and listening to the cause of why her foot was broken. So this is the second time that the universe has had to tap her on the shoulder and say, hey, you have some things that you need to deal with. What I suggested to her is that you don't want that to happen a third time, because it might be very, very difficult to survive, if at all. But we will learn one way or another. And the soul that is inside of your body does not care if you live or die. The soul will continue to go on. And at a certain point, the soul in your body has the power of attorney, if you will, and the power over the governance over your body to shut down your hologram, which is your life, and go back into the spirit world. And if it is still not appeased with what is going on, it can break down and go back and regenerate itself into the source. Therefore, you will lose your identity and the sovereignty of your individual identity, which is what is a very, very valuable thing to have within our universe. So you don't want to go backwards, and you don't want to have to regenerate and be absolved back into source, because it's counterproductive and counterintuitive. You want to come out of source and have an education of life and many, many different things to bring back to the table. So it is inherent for all of us to deal with our issues, transmute some of the things that we don't like about our life or our lifetimes, deal with our ish, if you will, to be quite literal, and also invite the spirit of higher forces to operate within your life so that you have blessings that you can use. All of us could use the power that comes from the spirit world. And it's really foolish for us to think otherwise, because then we become a candidate for many unfortunate circumstances, bad luck, freak accidents, you name it. There are many, many forces that are waiting to see if you are not aligned with something that is greater than yourself, that is in the universe, connected to light and love.